Hello and welcome to the coronavirus update for the 9th of June 2020, where there are now over 7 million cases in the world, not quite 500,000 dead yet, 2 million cases in America. And weird things are happening in the wide world. Feels like something's changing, and I'm not entirely sure what it is. I've got two suggestions of maybe what's going on here. So the first thing I'm going to go take a look at is just the ratio of the total number of deaths with confirmed cases. So that's a number I've been keeping track of for some time, since before there was only 1 million cases in the world. And yeah, there the death rate was about 3%, went all the way up to about 7%, and it's been steadily declining till now with just about 7 million cases. It's 5.5%. However, you can do something a little more sophisticated than that. You can say, how many extra cases did I get here? At about 7 million cases. And, so it's in this case, it's about 1 million. How many people actually died? And so you basically look at the death rate at this point, and so forth. And you take a look at that, it looks like this. So this is the sort of instantaneous mortality rate of the virus, and it peaked at over 10%, and now it's all the way back down to about 3%. So this is probably as detection is getting better, the apparent death rate is going down. So, the detection rate is, 3 times what it was, when there were only 2 million cases in the world. And it remains to be seen how far this goes down. I mean, presumably it can't go down forever. It's got to plateau out at some point. But what the hell's that point going to be? Another way you can sort of see this is if you just look at the American statistics. So you'll recall this is another one that I've been looking at for some time. This is days past peak and the confirmed cases in America. And at first, I made my prediction that it was going to be down here when you hit the state of emergency line. Then I made another prediction on the 4th of June, and it looks like it's kind of quit. The number of cases in America, let's take a look at those. So that data that I was just plotting up there is basically this. It's the number of cases, new cases per day, and it's really not going down any. However, if you take a look at the deaths in America, which is here, so the purple is my modified prediction line, and it's pretty much on track for somewhat over 120,000. But the thing is, that's not sort of diverging like you would expect if it genuinely was a sort of fixed mortality rate. So there's, it looks like the mortality rate continues to drop, and it's below 1,000 per day now. Just still, if you think about it, 9/11 every 3 days or something. But it's down to somewhat below 700. And this is the actual data. So whether this continues to go down or whether it plateaus out, it remains to be seen. But at the moment, it doesn't look like the deaths are reflecting the detected cases. This suggests there is an increase in detection. So all these things are sort of pointing to almost a threefold increase in detection of the virus. This is worldwide, by the way, is what you're looking at here. But the other thing that is super weird is you take a look at all the countries in Europe, the early cook-up countries, and they're all pretty much of a muchness. It's a big peak, and then over the next month or two, it's got down to about 1/10 of whatever the maximum was. You take a look at actually France is a bad one; they've got weird ways of reporting. But Germany, peaks out, goes down to 1/10 of what it was. Italy. Yeah, even Italy is sensibly under control now. But you take a look at America, and looks kind of different. And Brazil Brazil, by the way, apparently have stopped reporting their statistics because, they have their Bolsonaro who says coronavirus doesn't exist, which now means that Brazil, where they were peaking out at 30,000 new cases per day on a population that is only 2/3 the size of the US population. And, America is down, it's getting down to about 20,000 new cases per day. So Brazil is really the worst country in the world at the moment. And, Russia looks kind of the same. They went up and they plateaued. So it's not clear why these countries look different. Now, I've heard a couple of... And the other thing that stuns me is there hasn't been more of a rebound in Europe. I would have expected these numbers to have started going up again because basically everyone has almost completely relaxed the social distancing regulations. So, why didn't it explode like it did earlier? And I've heard some people suggest that it's the weather, which, it might be a factor. Another one, which is possible, and I've heard this bounced around, is that basically everyone had the virus. It wasn't sort of 1% of the population had the virus. It's loads of people had it. I'm a little uncomfortable with that. Doesn't feel right. You look at the numbers around the world. So another one which I heard, which for me gels maybe a little better, is that the majority of what you were looking at here were essentially super spreader events. It's some sort of highly infectious guy goes to a concert or something, and those were the key events that spread the virus. So it's not so much that, most of the quarantine, social distancing measures are kind of pointless. But if it's the super spreader events, so there's been a load of the cases in Germany are all tracked back to, a church where it's, they're all together in a room and infected some huge number of people. And similarly in America. So it's more about avoiding the mass gatherings is maybe. I mean, this is pretty speculative stuff, but you see what I mean? It's different in Europe than everywhere else in the world, and it's not entirely clear quite why that is. How's Canada doing? Okay, so now there is actually a divergence between how Canada is doing and how America is doing. Canada is down to sort of 50% of its max. US, 30% down maybe. But yeah, there's another thing that I wanted to touch on. Actually, I'll do it tomorrow, and that's this remarkable thing where the Lancet put out this study on hydroxychloroquine, and it turns out that it's mostly bullshit, which is stunning, seeing as it's one of the world's most prestigious medical journals and so forth. I mean, the hydroxychloroquine is a waste of time. At this point, the medical trials would have come back and said there was some effect, if there was some effect. So it's one of those ironies that even though this retracted study said there are no benefits from hydroxychloroquine, the study was complete bullshit, but it's probably the right result. Anyway, I'll go over that in some more detail tomorrow. So that's the update for today. If you found that useful, drop a thumbs up on it, would be nice. And thanks for watching.